Hello everyone and welcome to a new video. Today I'm going to be talking about a few of my bookish favourites, so a few favourites that are kind of related to books. I have a cup of tea, we're just going to take this nice and relaxed and we'll make a start. My first favourite is a new e-reader that I've bought this week. I use my e-reader quite a lot and I previously had a Kindle Paperwhite. That Kindle has lasted really well, but I have noticed in the past year it doesn't really charge as well as it should do. It is kind of on its last leg. So I've been looking at getting a new e-reader for quite a while now, and I've had my eye on a Kobo because I have been thinking in terms of my Kindle audiobooks, I'd like to start to disentangle myself from Amazon a little bit more. I'm not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but I like to do what I can when I have the opportunity. So I've been looking at Kobos, and what I went for was, this is the Kobo, was the Kobo Libra colour. And I chose this one for a couple of reasons. The first one, and we'll talk about this more later, is this one is integrated with Libby, and I do use Libby and I love it, but it's always been an issue of kind of where to read the books for me. And the second reason that I got this is because this has a really great system for making notes, annotating the books that you're reading. So on this you can kind of make notes the same way you can highlight on a Kindle, you can highlight on this, but then you have the option to write notes under what you've highlighted, to annotate books. I got the stylus that goes with this, so I can literally like write on the books, which I just love. And then you also have notebooks integrated into this too. I'm a big annotator, and you'll notice a theme for some of the things that I have coming up. So this week I read And Then There Were None for a review, which should be live on the channel now. I read it on here. I borrowed it, even though I have a physical copy, I borrowed it from the library because I was so excited about this. And I got to make annotations in different colours, and I got to kind of write onto the text of the page. Yeah, I just absolutely, I'm loving this so far. I'm so glad that I got it. I got the colour version. I'm not sure if you can see that. I've turned the brightness up, so hopefully you can. The colour seems to be a little bit of a gimmick because mostly you're reading in black and white, but I cannot recommend this highly enough. There's been a lot of kind of furore online because Amazon have recently made a change to what you can do with some of the Kindle books that you've bought. I won't go into that too much detail here, other than to say that previously you could download your Kindle books, which means that you could kind of do what you want-ish with them and kind of add them onto different e-readers. But this prompted me to get this. So I've been thinking about a new e-reader. I realised because of the changes, if I carried on using my Kindle or if I bought a new Kindle, I would be in future locked into the Amazon ecosystem. Future, if you buy a Kindle book, you'll only ever be able to read it on a Kindle. You cannot take all the books that you've bought and move over to a different e-reader, download them onto your computer, etc. anymore. And that was a big prompt for me to go ahead and get a Kobo because I wanted that flexibility to move. I downloaded all of my books. It was a massive faff. I had to do them all individually. I'd highly recommend this so far. I've read 2 books on this, And Then There Were None and Much Obliged, Jeeves. I love reading from e-readers, my Kindle included, because I like how lightweight they are, especially if you're reading longer books. They're so great. I also love the fact that they're backlit, so that you don't have to have a intrusive light kind of in the bedroom of an evening while you're reading. This is really comfortable. It's really great. So far I'm really impressed. I think I will do a review, but potentially in like 3 or 4 months once I've kind of had an opportunity to really get used to this. But that is my first favourite. My second favourite is Libby and BorrowBox. Now, because my Kobo has Libby integrated, I can show you, I borrowed this book from the library, In These Times, Living in Britain Through the Napoleonic Wars by Jenny Uglow. Jenny Uglow is a fantastic literary biographer, and history writer. This book was mentioned on a podcast about Jane Austen, like the Napoleonic Wars. I've been meaning to get hold of this for ages. I requested it on Libby and my library brought it in, so I'm so happy. And here it is on my Kobo. I have used Libby for years, but I've only ever had it on my iPad. I'm a part of a few libraries, which I know is questionable behaviour, but that is the reality of the situation. I just have the one synced to my Kobo. That's one of the kind of downsides of it. When I borrow a book from Libby now, it is synced to my Kobo and appears in my Kobo, in my library, the same as all of my other books for the length of time that I have it on loan. It also shows the books that I kind of have on hold, kind of waiting to come in. And if I was to go and buy a book that my library has, it lets me know that there's a free copy available from the library. This just seems so much more user friendly. But back to Libby, I'm really hoping that now it's more convenient and easier. I'll be able to make much more use of Libby on my e-reader. I've also been making a lot of use of BorrowBox. My local library has some amazing audiobooks through Borrow. I'm hoping between BorrowBox, Kobo, I'll be able to slowly withdraw myself from Audible. So that is favourites 1 and 2. We'll let you know how I go with both of them. Now, favourite number 3 is this. Now, this is a Persephone notebook. For anyone, I'm sure a lot of you will be familiar with Persephone, but for anybody who isn't, Persephone books are an independent publisher who reprint kind of neglected fiction of mainly of the 20th century, usually by women writers, but not exclusively. This is a Persephone notebook, and I was inspired because of this Persephone, which is a writer's diary, Virginia Woolf's writer's diary, edited by Leonard Woolf. And in here you just kind of have her journal. It goes through the years, 1920s, I believe. Oh no, 1918, and then right through to the 40s. This inspired me to get this a good few years ago now. And the reason why I love this, and I always come back to them, is because these are really high quality and they're not very expensive. So this is a Persephone book, and it's just filled with blank pages. I've used this quite a lot. Blank pages inside. The paper is really good quality. It's bound really well, so it like holds open. End papers, same as all the other Persephones. These ones are by Duncan Grant. You get the same bookmark with them. They're just a really good quality notebook. I'm a big notebook person. I've used pretty much most of this now, so I do need to get a new one. But notes on what I'm reading go in here, plans for the day, jobs, journaling, everything goes in. I believe this is £15. So whenever I order a book from Persephone, I will add, which is maybe like twice a year, maybe 3 times a year, I add one of these on. And then what I like about them is that you don't have to be too precious about them. I took my notebook in my bag. It's kind of in and around the house. Sometimes you see really beautiful notebooks, but they're very expensive. At the rate at which I go through them, because I use them every day, that really isn't an option. So I love these, would highly recommend these, and I highly recommend Persephone books. Right, favourite number 4 is a podcast. Finding literary podcasts is so hard. So if anyone has any recommendations, do include them down below. But a podcast that I've come back to this week and that I've loved for a very long time is the She Done It podcast, which is a podcast on golden age crime. To it this week because I've just reviewed And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. And I wanted to track down an episode that I listened to last year, which is an episode on editing Agatha Christie. As we all know, she has some questionable 20th century stuff in her novels. And this episode was focused on the practicalities of editing, the different methods of editing. Should you edit? I'm somebody in the camp who thinks that you shouldn't edit and we should leave things as they are. But it was a really interesting podcast. The host is fantastic. And the podcast has reviews on golden age crime. So she's currently reviewing the Penguin Green crime classics in the order that they came out. I think the last one was The Moneylender by Stanley Sykes. She has a lot of Agatha Christie in there, a lot of experts. One of my favourite biographers, Laura Thompson, was on there. She's done a biography of Agatha Christie and of the Mitfords. That's how I discovered the podcast. Could not recommend this more. Episodes are nice and short. If you love Golden Age crime or crime, I'd highly recommend this. A little add-on is a podcast called The Secret Life of Books, which is a podcast about exactly that. I discovered this because of a recent episode on J.R.R. Tolkien. If you want more in-depth discussions, like over an hour, going into the context, the history, an assessment, this is a really in-depth review. I listened to one episode, so would want a few more before I kind of mention it more. But if you're looking for new podcasts, I'd really recommend. Right, that is it, guys. Nice and short. I will see you next week. I have 2 videos planned for next week, a February reading wrap up. I've had a great reading month, so I can't wait for that video. Then I think I'm also going to do a TBR, but not specific to months going forward. I think I'm going to do a seasonal reading planning videos, and I have some big authors and themes I want to read over spring, so you will see that video soon. I hope that you're all having a lovely day, and I will speak to you all soon. Thank you so much for watching.